This is Olivia Green interviewing Miss Ernestine Jones for the HBCU Radio Preservation Project. It is currently 1:24 p.m. on December 3rd, 2025, and this interview is being recorded at WEAA in Baltimore, Maryland. Miss Jones, thank you so much for making the time today.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah. And before I get into the questions, can you please just state your full name and your relationship to WEAA for the record?
Okay, I'm Ernestine Yvonne Jones, and I am a on-air personality, gospel on-air personality here at Morgan State University. I started here in 1988, so I've been here quite a while, and I love the relationship that I have bonded with WEAA and the members of this great HBCU.
Thank you. And to start, can you tell me where and when you were born?
I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, 1953, August the 20th, 1953.
And for somebody who maybe has never been to Baltimore, doesn't understand the culture, the people here, how would you describe what it was like to grow up here?
Well, to grow up here was great. When I was very, very young, I was really, I'm going to say poor. I hate to use that word, but I'm going to say less fortunate than many other people. My dad had left my mom, so she had to fend for herself, if you will, with 4 babies. We were stepping stones, 1 year apart. It was 4 of us. And she had to work and make do and try to survive with the 4 of us, so she wound up having to go on welfare. And she did survive, and then finally she went to hair school and became a beautician. And with that, she moved on. She became a really great beautician, traveled all over, won trophies on every show that she went to, which was unbelievable for a young girl who had raised 4 kids. She got married very, very young. As a matter of fact, 15 years old. And back in the day, your parents had to sign for you to get married, and my grandmother signed for her to get married to my dad, who left her after she had had all 4 of us. And like I said, we were babies. And so she, the Lord was with her and struggled, and we were very poor on welfare. And I think that's why I like cheese a lot today, because we had that. But we didn't know that we were poor. And so I grew up in a very poor environment up until I was about 8 or 9 years old. And then things started to turn when my mom met her girlfriend's boyfriend's brother. She went on a blind date. But when my stepfather came over for the first time, and my mom was very forthright because she was young when she had all of us, so she had an older person's mind at age of 15, 16, and so forth. So she said to my stepfather, Philip Barnes, she said, "It's no point in us going out on any dates if you are not going to accept my 4 babies." He said, "I want to accept you, and I want to accept your children." He took all of us, and the 5 of us, and he raised us, took us out of poverty, raised us just like we were his. And I almost tear up just thinking about it. He and my mom never had kids of their own because he had the 4 of us. He took us through school, braces, whatever we needed. He took us out of poverty, and the rest is history. Unbelievable. I'm so thankful to the Lord for having. The Lord always orders our steps anyway, but because of Philip Barnes, my stepfather, I don't even feel right saying stepfather because he took a giant leap. He was not a stepfather. And so the Lord made a way, and things progressed from that point.
Yeah, and watching your mom kind of go through that, come into her own, be incredible at her work and her skill, and then this stepfather, the father that raised you, come in. What did that teach you about yourself and about the world watching that happen as a child?
Well, watching that, children don't forget things. When people think that, oh, they're young, they're not going to remember this. Yes, they do. Children remember things, and that did not escape me. And when that happened, I was like, it just gave me a different sense of purpose. It made me feel like whatever I wanted to do, if I put my foot forward and just went on head on and not said, oh no, I'm not going to be able to do, oh no, that's going to be impossible. I didn't have a negative outlook on life and what I wanted to be, because I watched my mom and I saw how she progressed from raising 4 kids on her own to having a husband that came in, stood in, raised all of us. So it gave me a very positive outlook on life. And I know that's what helped me to become the person that I am. I have had a very easy life up until this point. I never had to look for a job. Things were sort of like laid out for me. I never had to fight for any kind of job. I went to an interview and I was hired. I haven't had many jobs, and a matter of fact, I think in my entire life I've only had 3 jobs, and I am over 70, of course. I was born in 1953. I think that's something great to say. It is because I had a positive outlook on life from her, and so that's what I gathered from her.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about your siblings?
Well, one of my siblings, we were all 1 year apart. One of my siblings, my sister, was 1 year younger than me. She died at the age of 7 because, like I said, before my stepfather came along, my mom, she worked like 2 and 3 jobs, and we didn't have babysitters. We had to babysit ourselves at 5, 6, 7, and 8 years old. And we were very poor. We didn't have electricity, so we had candles. My sister, who was 7 at the time, had to go to the bathroom, and we gave my youngest brother, 5, a candle and said, go upstairs with her to the bathroom. And 5 minutes later, he came running down the stairs and said, Terry's on fire. We were young. We were like, what is he talking about? She came down on the steps, and we all had to watch her, all on fire. I don't know if her dress caught on fire while he was holding the candle. I don't know what happened. So I ran outside, and it was like 2 in the morning. I ran outside screaming, and a gentleman happened to be coming around the corner. And I said, my sister's on fire. And he came to our house. It was in the wintertime. And he came. He had a wool coat on. He wrapped it around her. And it stopped the flames. She was still living. And the whole time she was standing on the steps on fire, she was not screaming. But she was still alive. And so he wrapped his coat around, the fire stopped, and ambulance came. My mother was alerted and whatever. And so she went to the hospital in the ambulance, and I think she lived maybe 3 hours after that. So I lost her. And then when my oldest brother was 26, he left Poly Institute and he went into the Army. And he was in Germany, and he was killed at the age of 27. I was 26 because he was 1 year older than me. And then my youngest brother, who was 2 years younger than me, he was found in his apartment, I'm going to say maybe 6 years ago. He fell asleep while he was sitting on the toilet in the bathroom, and he fell over and hit his head on the edge of the tub and burst his head wide open. And no one knew about it for like 3 or 4 days. He died. So all of my siblings are deceased. I'm the only one living right now. My mom is deceased. My biological dad is deceased. My stepfather is deceased. And so I'm it. But I'm not bitter I'm going to say with the Lord. I'm happy. The reason I can smile and continue on with my life is because I have happy memories of my mom raising us, my stepfather coming along, picking up the pieces and helped us to have a great life until, my siblings passed. And like I said, as far as the work part, doors were opened for me. So I'm a happy individual. I'm sad, of course, because I'm human and I don't have my parents and my siblings, but I am aware that life goes on.
Yeah.
So, it's people would think, oh, she had a rough life. How does she smile all the time? She's so bubbly. That's what my church members say, and the people here at WEAA and everyone I meet. I have an uplifted spirit, and I know it's because I know that I'm trying to live right, do the right thing. I have happy memories, and I know that life must go on. So, and I know that the Lord is leading me on the path because, like I said, He has opened doors at every job interview that I have gone to. I was hired, which is just 3 jobs, but still, I didn't have to struggle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry to hear about what happened to your siblings, but I think it's a testament to how much there is to learn from you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
What you bring into the room. Yes.
Thank you.
So I want to talk about kind of the community institutions that you were around as a child. Was your family involved in the church at all?
Church was number one. When my mom met my stepfather, his whole family, his father was a minister. A lot of his sisters had churches. So my mom didn't go to church and my stepfather didn't. However, they sent us to church with one of my stepfather's brothers. So we grew up with my uncle's children, and we went to church 4 times a week. So even from that, I believe I am so uplifted through the tragedies that happened to me because I was in church all the time. So at a young age, I found out about a higher being. I found out from my uncle and his children that life was a beautiful thing, and that if we keep our minds focused on our higher being, trying to do the right thing when wrong things creep up, which they always do, but choosing between right and wrong and trying to make sure you do the right thing, it has just kept me grounded, knowing a higher being, knowing that there's a better place if I try my best to do the right thing as opposed to the wrong thing. And I have a few Bible classes that I even teach now, and I let people know that you don't have to know the Bible backward and forward, every scripture, know where the scriptures are. When we are grown, we sort of automatically know right from wrong. Like a kid, they can touch a hot pot. They know, oh, that hurt. I'm not going to do that again. We know right from wrong. And so it behooves us to try to do as much right as we possibly can. And another thing that I have kept with me year after year, and I try to impart it to other people, is this: worrying about tomorrow's problems only rob you of today's joy. I'm not going to worry about, am I going to be able to pay my MasterCard? Am I going to be able to pay my car payment next week or whatever? I'm living for this day. The Lord says each one gets the day that they're living in. I don't know if tomorrow I might have an aneurysm. I might not even be here. So why would I take the day that I'm in to worry about tomorrow's problems, which are down the road, that I may not even get to? Worrying about tomorrow's problems only rob you of today's joy. I live by that.
Worrying about tomorrow's problems only rob you of today's joy.
It's so true. It's true.
Yeah.
It's my quote. Martin Luther King had his quotes. That's mine. And I live by it. It's a beautiful thought. And I really believe that's why I'm just a happy person every day. I'm happy, really happy. And my mom used to say, Ernestine, when someone asks you how you're doing, you say, I woke up, everything else is doable. One way or the other. If I'm blind, everything else is doable. If I'm maimed, I have one leg, everything else is doable because I woke up. It's my choice to make it hurt me, be sad, have psychological problems about it, or forge ahead with what I was given. I may have had an accident. I may have done something, or I woke up and something was wrong, a sickness. But it's for me to forge ahead with what I have. How I'm living, if I'm maimed or I'm blind or whatever, still forge ahead. I know I looked, there's a lady that lost her leg in a car accident. She was still skiing, and she became a world-renowned skier with a prosthesis leg. So I'm going to forge ahead, and we all should, with whatever we're given, because if you really think about it, no matter what situation you're in, if you just think for one moment, you can realize there's someone worse off than me. There are people in shock trauma. There are people who can't feed themselves. There are people that can't go to the bathroom on their own. There are people in certain countries that don't have food. Whatever situation you're in, there's always someone worse off than you. So when I wake up, everything else is doable one way or the other.
And so you talk about the Bible study that you lead now and your singing and worship team in church. Did you have any kind of leadership roles in the church as a young person?
Well, when I was, my stepfather, when he came along and my mom sent all of us, we were still young at that age, sent us to go to church with my uncle, who was the pastor of a church. Yes, we learned how to sing. I would, even at a young age, I would welcome the visitors. And when I got to be I think I was maybe 13 or 14, I was the Bible class teacher for the little babies. The ages were like 1 to 6 or something like that. We had little Bible studies, and I had the little easy books with, different characters from the Bible, and I enjoyed it so much. And I continued from there. So that was a leadership role. My first leadership role was teaching the young people, and I would take little candy to Bible class and whatever. I don't know if they liked me because of the candy or the Bible study, but it was my first leadership role, and I loved it so much. And I recognized that I was not afraid to be in front of a large group, teaching or speaking, whatever. And so it took the fright out of me. So I've always been out in front of the public. Like even today, I host many big programs with thousands of people. Like if gospel singers like Kirk Franklin or Donnie McClurkin come in town, I'm the MC. And I'm behind the curtain, and before the program starts, and I'm a little bit like I'm saying to myself, okay, now what am I going to say when I get out there? But once the guy behind the curtain gives me the mic and says, okay, Ernestine, you can go out there and address the people before the singers come out, I get a rush. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. And when I walk out on that stage and see all of those faces, I feel like I know them all. And I'm just talking like you would think when I'm out there, you would think that I met every last person out there. So I know that I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It's confirmed that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it all stemmed from teaching those little teeny kids in Bible class. I was so happy doing it. I was not afraid. I wasn't hesitant at all. That's where it started. And I've been out there doing that since.
That's amazing. At that time, like if you would have told little Ernestine, who's teaching baby Bible class, that you would be doing this today, what would she say?
I think she would be like, nah, I don't know. I don't know. But, and even from grade school, when I was like in kindergarten, first, second, and third grade, I don't know if I should tell you this. My mom had to come up to school almost every day. You know why? I wouldn't stop talking the whole time I was in school. And the teacher would say to my mom, how come she gets all A's? She talks the whole time. We don't understand how she gets A's. And I did not have, A was the highest grade you could get. They have different letters now. But no one could understand it. And even my family members couldn't understand because my mom, she did not sit at the table, help me with homework. I never had my stepfather or my mom to help me with homework. I always did all of my homework myself. I studied for tests myself. And for some reason, I always got an A. I was always an honor student, scholarship committee, and I had no one, no aunts, no parents that helped me with homework. It just came natural. And so I'm just so thankful to the Lord for how he has guided my life. It has been a beautiful, beautiful journey, and hopefully the rest of it will be the same. I'm amazed. Donnie McClurkin has a song, I'm amazed at the love you have for me, talking about the Lord. He has just guided me and ordered my steps. I'm very, very happy. People would think that I would be sad because all my siblings are gone. My mom, dad, I have nobody. All my aunts are deceased, my grandmother. Almost like my whole biological family, they're gone. But it's only because it was instilled in me when I was a young girl going to my uncle's church, how everything just fell into place when I found out about a higher being and that he would guide you along the path. Choose right instead of wrong. And when you do, your path is so much easier. Don't get upset when people do. People have done things to me, but the Lord is the judge. Don't try to get back at people. Treat people with kindness, even those that use and abuse you. Always hold your peace and keep kindness in the forefront. It goes a long, long way. I'm a witness. It does.
Yes, ma'am. What kinds of things were you interested in? Like maybe in high school, junior high? What did you think you wanted to do at that point?
I'm so glad you asked, and it really wasn't a think of what I wanted to do. I decided at the age of 16 on to map out what I wanted to do. Number one, I didn't like the outdoors even when I was a kid. I just didn't want to be outside. I have never been to a beach. I've never been to an amusement park, as little kids do, because I sat down one day and I said, you know what? I want to work in the law firm. I retired from a law firm after 30-some years, 3 years ago. I knew as a young girl that I wanted, because watching Perry Mason, which was a show about an attorney and who did it, let's get to the bottom of it, who's guilty, who's not, it fascinated me. So while the kids were out there playing, I was in the house watching Perry Mason. My mom would beg me, go outside and play. No, I wanted to stay in and work. So I knew I was going to work in the law firm. And then I would watch television and I would watch the newscasters. And for some reason, I would say, I could do that. I could do the news, weather, and sport. I want to do that. So what I did, back in the day, we had things called tape recorders. You could, with a microphone, you could record yourself on a cassette tape. I decided one day, I was just sitting in the house. I got a newspaper. I took the newspaper, opened it up, put my cassette in, and I said, I'm going to record myself just like I was a newscaster, because I know I could do that. So I read a little bit of weather, a little bit of sports, and a little bit of news on a cassette. I took the cassette without an appointment. There was a radio station back in the day that played gospel 24 hours, and it was called WBGR. The lady that owned it and who was on the radio, her name was Bishop Naomi Durant. And even today, another gentleman who was really like a assistant director, his name was Lee Michaels. And today, he has a radio station called Heaven 600, which is a gospel station. You probably have heard of that. So what I did, I took my CD. I don't know what made me do it. I went down to the station. I didn't call for an appointment, nothing. I just showed up. When I went into the radio station, I just wanted her or Lee, I wanted somebody to listen to my cassette and let me know if I had a possibility of being a newscaster, whether on the radio or on television, anything. I walked in the door, the secretary was at the door, and she said, Miss Ernestine, Bishop Naomi Durant sees no one without an appointment. Well, I said, okay, are you sure? And at that time, I knew what time Bishop Naomi Durant was on the radio playing music. I knew she was getting ready to get off the air in about 6 minutes because I listened to the station every day. So instead of leaving when the young lady told me adamantly that I was not going to be able to have an interview, I did not leave. There was a bench right at the door where people, I guess they sat at when they were waiting for interviews. So what I did, I said, okay. I turned around and sat in that bench. The young lady didn't make me leave. I sat in that bench because I knew in about 4 minutes, Bishop Naomi Durant was going to get off that radio, and she had to walk out that studio. When I saw her come out of the studio, I jumped up. I had no fear. I don't know where it came from. I jumped up. I ran over in front of Bishop Naomi Durant. I said, ma'am, would you please just listen to my cassette and just let me know if I have any possibilities of being a newscaster or being on the radio? I just want someone to tell me if I have that capability. She looked at me with a stern voice and she said, Miss, didn't my secretary tell you that I see no one without an appointment? My face dropped. I got sad. After I saw how adamant she was about she was not going to listen to my cassette or give me an interview, I turned around, walked towards the door. Before I could put my hand on the knob, Bishop Naomi Durant said, hey, you, miss. I turned around. She said, come here a minute. I turned around and walked to her. She said, I like your style. That's the way I made it in the radio business. I bogarted my way. I happen to like your boldness. Come into my office and I'm going to listen to your cassette. By then I was sweating. I don't know. You could have wrung my clothes out. Now I'm really afraid she's going to listen. I had never done this before. Now I'm afraid that she might just say yes. I go into her office. She calls the assistant director in. She calls another gentleman in. All three of them are sitting there, and here I am sitting there sweating bullets. She puts my cassette in the cassette recorder. She listens. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting there. I'm holding on the chair. I'm sure I had prints of the chair in my hands. They listen. When the cassette was over, and I recorded it like it's going to be cloudy today. Weather's going to be 45 degrees. And then I had some news about Russia and this and that. When the cassette stopped, everybody was quiet. All of a sudden, Bishop Naomi Durant looked at me and she said, Miss, you're hired. Start in 2 weeks. Be here at 2:00. I was trying to be calm. I said, thank you. I'll be here. I got up, took my cassette, turned around, and walked out the door. I was so nervous I couldn't hardly get in my car to drive. I didn't start the car right away. I sat in the car, and I was crying, and I was thanking the Lord, and I was like, I don't believe it. There's a song that says, what God has for me, it is for me. I play it on the radio. What God has for me, it is for me. I'm sitting there. You're not going to believe this part. 2 weeks are gone and I show up. I've gotten all my news together because they had feeders where the news came out, so I have the paper in front of me. So I'm in the news studio. Lee Michaels, who was the on-air personality, he's there in the next room. A big sheet of glass that you can see through is dividing us. My job was to do the news on the top of every hour. It's 2:00. 3 o'clock, I know I have to come on and I have to do the news. Lee Michaels playing music, and all of a sudden, at about 1 minute before 3, he says, all right, and now we're going to have the weather, news, and sports by Miss Ernestine Jones. And he points to me. Nothing came out of my mouth. Nothing. There were nobody. It was no one there listening, looking at me. I don't know why I was scared. I was afraid. My lips were moving, but nothing came out. And he was just looking at me. And the director, Bishop Naomi Durant, of course, she has speakers in her room, so I know she's listening. I'm like, oh, I'm saying to myself, oh my goodness, they're going to fire me on my first day. So finally, after a few seconds, when Lee saw that I wasn't going to get anything out, he says, all right, we're going to go back into some great gospel music, and we'll be hearing from Miss Ernestine Jones in the 4 o'clock hour with the weather, news, and sports. I'm sitting there trying to figure out, I was in the room, the production room by myself, trying to figure, was my voice gone? And so I said, hello, to myself to make sure I could still talk. I couldn't understand why. Lee never came in my production room. Bishop Naomi Durant, I'm sure she heard that I got nothing out when it was time for me to. She never came into the production room. I'm sitting there like, she's going to come in here and I know she's going to fire. Here comes the 4 o'clock hour. Lee says, all right, it's at the top of the hour. We're going to have the news, weather, and sports by Miss Ernestine Jones. He points to me. Nothing came out for the second hour. I don't know why. I can't explain it. I'm sitting there. I wanted my mouth to move, but nothing came out. Again, he says, we're going to move on. I have a great song lined up. Let's listen to Shirley Caesar or whomever it was at the time. We're going to listen to the music. He didn't come into my production room to ask me how come I didn't do the news. Bishop Naomi Durant never came into the production room to ask me what happened. Here comes the 5 o'clock hour. Lee Michaels. It's time for our news, weather, and sports. Here's Miss Ernestine Jones. It's going to be cloudy today. The weather is going to be really not that bad. Yada, yada. I got the news, weather, and sports out. Not in a smooth fashion, but not an awful fashion that you would turn the radio off. So I made it through. And then I turned it back over to Lee, and he went on and played some more music. Still, now it was time to go home. I'm afraid to leave the production room because I'm thinking as soon as I leave out of this room, Bishop Naomi Durant is going to be out there in the hallway, and she's going to say, don't you come back. She wasn't out there, and I waited. I waited until almost everybody in the station left because I didn't want to confront anybody. I left out. The next day came. I came in. I was scared to go to the coffee pot to get coffee because I knew that when everybody comes and that's where they were going to be. I skipped the coffee pot because I didn't want to run into anybody. I went right into the production room. Each hour, I got better and better with the news. Everything was fine. And I was still wondering, how come Bishop Durant has never said it? By now, it was like 2 and 3 weeks. She never said anything to me. No one said, what happened to you those first couple of hours on your first day? Were you scared? No one ever addressed it. There I was. I was the queen of my domain. I had gotten so good. I was smooth with it. What God has for me, it is for me, and nobody can block it. I'm aware that this radio is what I'm supposed to be doing.
That's a beautiful story. What a story, and what an introduction to this world that you occupy. How old were you when you recorded that cassette and decided to
When
go
I
down
recorded
to the station?
that cassette, I was 20 years old.
Okay. So what was going on in your life at that time? Were you in school? Where were you working? Like,
20
what was
years
going
old,
on?
I was at Community College of Baltimore.
Studying what?
I was studying, let's see, algebra and math were my focal point. It was not communications. It was not accounting. That's what my degree was in. And like I said, I was working at Social Security during the day, so I was taking evening classes. I was taking 26 credits at Community College of Baltimore while I was working at Social Security. I went to Social Security straight from Western High School. 12th grade, I went straight there, and I decided I want to go to college. So I took evening classes. They had television courses that you could take back then. I was taking everything. And still, I made the honor roll. I was on the scholarship committee, the dean's list. I was just determined. And when I did the cassette, I also taught myself how to sew. No one in my family sewed. I bought an old sewing machine, and I said, okay, I want to learn how to make some clothes. And I messed up a whole lot of material, but I would buy cheap material from just pieces of material that were thrown on the table, no expensive. And I kept doing it till I got so good at it, I could make a dress in one day that looked like it came out the store. So I mastered, with the help of the Lord, sewing and that cassette incident, the radio talk. Both of those at the same time.
Wow.
I cannot believe, I just look back and wonder how I did it. And while I was at Western High School, I was in 11th grade, and I joined the band and orchestra when I first got to Western High School. And in 11th grade, scouts came from the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra just to look at the band and all. Scouts, they were looking for people that played instruments well. Guess who got picked to be in the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra? Yours truly. I did not accept, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I had grown up so poor, I couldn't understand how could I make any money being in the band and orchestra. Can I tell you what instrument I played that I got picked for? The tuba, sousaphone, wrapped around my neck. And I was like, I know that the Baltimore Symphony, they got to be crazy. They travel all over the place. How can I travel with this big tuba? How can I make any money? My goal, because I had grown up poor, was to work. And that's why from Western High School, I didn't go straight to college. I was in the college preparatory course. I didn't go straight to college. I elected to go work at Social Security. I wanted money. I wanted a car. I wanted all of that. And I knew that I had to work and get it. But when I got to Social Security, I figured out a way to get a college degree and work. Night classes, Saturday classes, and television courses.
I think it's really cool that you play the tuba.
Yes.
What
And when the
introduced you to
interview is
that?
over, I'm going to show you a picture in my phone of me at the Civic Center for graduation of Western High School, sitting there with the orchestra and the tuba wrapped around my neck.
How did you choose the tuba? Because I feel like that's not usually the instrument that girls gravitate towards.
Well,
for
of
the
course,
most
you know
part.
that Western was an all-girls school.
Right.
So the girls played everything. All right. Since you asked me why I picked the tuba, I'm an open book to you right now, and I might as well go a little bit further. Being that I was, we didn't have a whole lot of money. My stepfather came along, but at this time, I was born, and when my teeth in the front got loose, I didn't let my mother pull them out. So, of course, I was buck teeth. I mean, really buck teeth. All through school, they called me Bucky Beaver, blah, blah, blah. I didn't have any dates for the prom and whatever. I had to wait to get money and buy my own braces. By the time I bought my own braces, I was maybe, when I got braces on, I believe I was maybe in the 10th grade or whatever. So when it was time to pick an instrument, I couldn't play the clarinet because my teeth were out so far I couldn't get my lip over the reed. I couldn't play the saxophone. It also had a reed. So I looked at the tuba and I looked at that big wide mouthpiece. I said, I can stick all these teeth in there. Oh, yeah, I'm going to pick that tuba. That is the honest to God truth. That's how I wound up playing the tuba, because it had the big mouthpiece, and that's how I wound up playing the tuba.
Amazing.
Oh, when I think about it, I tell you, when I tell my girlfriends, oh man, and when we were at Western, a lot of my girlfriends in the music class, they say, Ernestine, how come you want to play the tuba? I said, can I put these teeth on any other instrument? I want an instrument that I could blow into. And so I didn't choose the violin and all of those things, which I could have done. I picked the tuba. And I got good at it. Because like I said, everything that I tried to do, even from a young girl up, I tried to do it with perfection. I can't do a lot of things that other people do, but my mom, even as a young girl, she told all of us, whatever you choose to do, give it your all. Give it your all. Don't half do any, even when we had to clean up house and had chores. Do it to the best of your ability. So everything I tried to do, working at the law firm, working on the radio, playing the tuba, each thing that I mapped out, I tried to do it with the best of my ability, give it my all. One shot, because like I said before, we're only living in the day that we're given. This day, I wanted everything that I do, I want to make it and do it to the best of my ability. And I have lived by it. And it has paid off. Give it your all, whatever it is. Everybody can't do everything. But the thing that you choose, you'll know if it's what you're supposed to do, because it won't be hard. It wasn't a task for me to make that recording with the news, reading it. I was reading it out the newspaper just like I was really on television as a newscaster. I said, oh my goodness, that sounds good, because I listened to the cassette. That's why I wanted somebody to hear it so bad, because I listened to it and it was nice and smooth. I said, evidently I'm supposed to be doing this. So everything I've done, even after that, I've given it my all in all. That's how you know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Life is a tree, and the tree has a whole lot of branches. Each branch is branching out because it's something for everybody to do. So don't be envious. Oh, I want to do that. She can do it. No, you find what you can do, and you do that one thing or two things or however many to the best of your ability. It's something for everybody. We all have to work together, and we can make it work. Even today, in this world, things might be a little bit shaky. People are worried about the economy, and they're worried about the government, the leader of the country. A lot of people are so concerned. How will things turn out? But if we love our brother as we love ourselves and do unto them as we would have them do unto us, and that is the second greatest commandment. The first one is to love the Lord thy God with all your heart, soul, mind, and body. But the second one is love thy neighbor as yourself. So that means you want people to be treated like you want to be. You want to do to them how you want them to do to you. And if you do those two commandments, all the other ones fall right into place. You don't have to do all 10 of the commandments. Don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat, because if you just do those first two, love your neighbor as yourself, you wouldn't want nobody to lie to you. You wouldn't want nobody to cheat on you. You wouldn't want nobody to date your husband or your wife. If you just do those two, all the other ones fall right in place. I was looking at Steve Harvey one day. He was doing a stand-up thing, and he was talking to the people and said, well, I'm just going to tell you, I'm trying to do those commandments. I can't do all 10, but I'm working my way through. I got a couple of them under my belt. But if we just do those first 2, all the other ones are done. You ever looked at it like that? If we just do the first 2, the other ones are already done. So in essence, we don't have to do all 10. We just have to do 2. The other 8 are lined up in that second one. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
I know you keep saying that you've only had 3 jobs, but it's like talking to you for this amount of time, it just seems like you've done and mastered so many things. And so I just want to I want to talk a little bit specifically about WEAA, but before we get there, can you just give me like a timeline of your career? So you're in school, you're taking night classes, you go into WBGR with this cassette, you start working there at the same time. Like, give me the path that had you end up here.
When I left Western High School, they came in 11th grade and let everybody take the civil service exam, even those that were in a college preparatory course. So that back in the day, when you graduated from 12th grade, you could go to college or you can get a job at Social Security. I didn't have to apply at Social Security because 11th grade I had already taken the civil service exam and I passed it. So I knew that at the 12th grade, when I graduated, I had a choice. I could go to college, struggle and beg my mom for money to send me to a college, or I can go straight to Social Security and make my own money. So when I left Western High School, went to Social Security, and while I was at Social Security, I was getting a paycheck. And then I could apply for those certain grants and things to go to college. So that's what I did. So while I was at Social Security, in essence, I was going to college and Social Security, night classes, Saturday classes, television classes. So I was conquering 2 things, actually 3 things, because when I went to the radio station, after I was at Social Security for a while, and I stayed there 16 years. Okay, I left Social Security, and I'm like, okay, I already got the job at the radio station, so what else am I going to do? I decided law firm. Because remember, I told you when I was young, I was watching that. But I'm like, dang, I don't have any skills at the law firm. What? I wonder if I could just walk in there. Well, back in the day, they had people called headhunters. You can go there and you could tell them what you want as far as law firms. And they would send you on interviews. So I said, well, I'm on the radio during the daytime. If I go to a law firm, back in the day, law firms had evening shifts, day shifts, and evening shifts. So I knew I had to take an evening shift job at the law firm because I was on the radio during the day. They sent me to a law firm for an evening position, 5 o'clock until 11 at night. And I was like, boy, I don't have no experience, but if they send me there, I'm sure they've told them that I've never done this before, whatever. So I go to the interview, hired on the spot because I knew how to type. At Western High School, they taught me how to type. They gave me a typing test. I blew it off the map. The lady hired me on the spot. So now, nighttime, I'm at the law firm. Daytime, I'm up the street on St. Paul Street at the radio station. So I got that going for me. The radio station, after a while, it had some problems. Management ran into some money problems, I'm going to say. The radio station folded. So I'm available. I had a girlfriend that was at Morgan, and she was on the radio. Kwaisin Fume started WEAA. Well, I had a girlfriend. She was on WEAA doing church announcements. And one day she called. She said, Ernestine, I'm starting to get so many church announcements. I need some help. Could you come over here and help me? I said, well, what time are you talking? She said, you can come on Sundays. We do the gospel. So that's not going to interfere with my law firm job. So I said, well, what do you mean? She said, well, I'm going to do the church announcements during the day, and I need you to help me out. You can come and do the afternoon, but you would only have to be here till about 3 o'clock. Well, I didn't have to be to law firm until 5. This was cool. I'm like, oh my gosh, WBGR done folded. I don't have my news job anymore, but I'm still going to be on the radio doing church announcements. I said, Tyra Phillips, she's deceased now. Tyra Phillips, yes, I want to come. I went, and Tyra was doing the church announcements during the early morning, and I was her backup. I was doing them in the afternoon. So I wound it up at WEAA. And it was beautiful. I did announcements so many years until there was a gentleman named Alvin Waller. He had a position as an on-air personality, but he worked for mass transit driving the subway in the evening. Well, they told him they would offer him more money if he took a day shift. So he says, Ernestine, I'm going to have to leave WEAA. Because MTA, Mass Transit Authority, they want me to take a different shift. I won't be able to be on the radio. Do you want the shift? I said, oh, no, I can't be no on-air personality. No. I like what I'm doing. I want to keep doing the church announcement. He said, Ernestine, you can do it. I'll come in a few days and I'll help you. I'll show you. I'll show you the board, which buttons to press. I'll show you everything. You can do it. He kept saying, you can do it. You can do it. I really didn't have a feeling for it. I didn't want to do it. I was so happy and laid back doing my church. It was so easy to me, the church announcements. And then I said, you know what? Just take a little step forward. At least try, because he did offer it to you. It was many people that wanted his position, but he asked you, why don't you just go try? If you don't like it, please, you don't have to do it. Let him show you. I came in. Alvin came with me. He trained me a few times, and after a couple of times, I'm sort of getting the hang of it. And then I was liking the part about I could choose at WEAA. We got to choose whatever songs we wanted. It wasn't programmed like at other stations. Those on-air personalities, they played what the director wanted them to play. So they had a set thing already mapped out. We got at WEAA, we get to choose what we want to play. And I was like, boy, Ernestine, if you get to play those songs that you know are going to touch somebody might need to know that I can stand, even though my problems, you can sort of match up those songs and help people. It could be a ministry for you. Why don't you try it? I came in, I practiced with Alvin for a while, and then I said, you know what? I want to do it. So I wound it up being an on-air personality, and I am in love with it. I'm in love with it. I am. I'm in love with it. And that's how I wound it up at WEAA. I love WEAA. And I love this station. I love being here at this HBCU because we have an opportunity to train, to give back, to pass the torch. Mikkel Hunter, she trains all of the students that are already here studying communications. And I've even had people to come in, young people to come in. Could you sort of help me and train me? And I was trained, so of course I'm going to help you. Someone helped me, trained me, so.
Yeah.
So it's really giving back, paying it forward, if you will. And I like that feeling. And that's what HBCUs, that's what here at Morgan, we can be proud to say that we train the next generation. They're going to be leading this world. And like I said, paying it forward, that's what everybody should be doing. I don't care what field you're in. Paying it forward. Someone opened the door Alvin opened the door for me. And I want to open it for someone else. Just like Mikkel, she opens it for students here that want to be in communications. And I've had mentees that come, Ernestine, can you show me this? Of course.
Yeah, I mean, I think, in doing research, reading a little bit about you and the other people at the station and the history of the station, like, you guys really stay true to the WEAA, We Educate African Americans,
yes,
not only with the students, but with the broader community when you think about the programming that you put on air. And so I'm just interested if you have a testimony to share to that, either an interaction that you had with a student. I was telling you earlier about my interview with Ashlyn yesterday, who talked about growing up in Baltimore and hearing you every Sunday. Her family would listen to your show together. But I'm wondering if you've had interactions with listeners out in the world or students that have come to you, like something that really said, yeah, what I'm doing here and my radio ministry in particular is making an impact.
Well, I think I shared with you before. One instance was when I was on the air and a lady called me. She was in the hospital, and she said two of the nurses had come into her room, and they were listening to me on the radio. And they said it really impacted them. She said the nurses didn't want to go out and finish doing checking up on their other patients. They didn't want to leave the room because they weren't going to be able to hear you play songs that uplifted them. And I was like so touched. And now when I go to church on Sunday mornings, before I could even get into the sanctuary, without fail, quite a few people come up to me, Ernestine, those songs you played Sunday, they really touched me. I am so glad that you're on the air. Please don't ever leave. I guess they want me to stay till I'm 99 or 100. I don't know. Please don't leave. I can just tell. I can tell from the songs you play, from the words you say and how you say them. It's just such a calming feeling. I can tell that you're different. It's a ministry for you. You touch my heart with the songs that you play. When I'm out at an event, like a church has a program with singers and all, and I'm the host MC, people come up to me and they're like, Ernestine, Sunday, that song you played, oh my goodness, I'm still thinking about it. It's just, you just have that, I don't know what it is, but the way you talk on the air, the way you say nice thoughts before you play a song, it just has an impact. You are really making a difference in the world. I've heard it so many times, and I've heard it so many times from so many different people. And from young people at my church, Huber Memorial Church, who are venturing into the communications field. Miss Jones, you're the reason why I want to be on the radio. I want to continue in the communications field. I want to go to a HBCU because you're at one, and the way you portray and do what you do, I want to be at a HBCU, and I want to do what you're doing. You have given me the motivation. It touches my heart. I'm convinced that I am doing what I'm supposed to do, and my feelings, I can't express how I feel knowing that people love listening to me on the radio. And they love that it's a HBCU. Right? A lot of people want to come to this at Huber Memorial Church. We have scholarships that we help youngsters come to this HBCU and other HBCUs, but we help them with book money and partial scholarships to attend college when they leave the 12th grade. We only ask them, make sure when you get your degree, you come back to Huber Memorial Church and you spread some love and you point another young person in the right direction. It's just a fulfilling, I'm just overwhelmed. I'm really touched.
And I want to ask you, because you've been involved in so many different kinds of ministry, children ministry and praise and worship and that kind of thing. What's unique about radio as a medium for ministry?
Well, radio is so important because, number one, you have so many people who can't get out to go into a sanctuary for whatever reason. They may be sick, or they may be incapacitated and they just can't go to a quote-unquote house of worship. They can turn on the radio. They can hear the songs of Zion. They can hear songs that they grew up on and they loved. They used to go to church, but now they can't. So older generations who can't get out the house, but they can turn on the radio. A lot of the older people, seasoned citizens or saints, they don't know how to work the computer. They don't know how to go on the computer, pull it up, and Facebook and all of the other things. But they can turn on a radio. Their grandchildren can show them how to get to 88.9 FM. So radio is so important. It's never going to not be important. It's never going to not be important. It's like the best thing since the cheese I ate when I was young on welfare. Not to go back there, but anyway, it is just so important. And it's just so important that people can turn on the radio and and they don't have to feel alone, because some elderly people, they're living by themselves. Children have gone on, or even they may have passed on, and they may be living by themselves with maybe a caretaker or whatever. And sometimes I'm sure they may feel alone. But if they turn that radio on and hear the songs they used to listen to when they were young, songs that their mom let them listen to, songs that they heard when they were capable to go into a sanctuary and be on the choir. So radio is so important. It's never going to not be important. Never. I can't see it. I can't see.
And you're touching on something that I always like to ask people about, which is just, you know, the current value of radio, kind of in spite being at a time where, you know, podcasting and video and internet programming is kind of what's dominating the conversation. There's still a ton of community value when it comes specifically to terrestrial radio station and reaching the community.
It is. It is. It's just, it is. Radio is never going to leave us. I just gave you a few examples. But just like I said, the people that were in that hospital room, the nurses couldn't just whip out a computer, pull it up, go find where WEAA was at. But the radio was on. The music was playing. What if there were no radio? There was no radio. Those two nurses, would they have heard? They can't they're working. They can't whip out the computer, go, put in their passcode, yada, 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 get to what. That's just one example. The elderly that are home, that don't have computers. So I have a few aunts back in the day on my husband's side. They still have a landline hanging on the wall. They still have a radio that they can turn the dial on. And radio is here to stay. Trust me on it. I just know that it is. It's here to stay. And I know they're talking about robots doing this. Excuse me, can a robot come up here and pull out a Shirley Caesar song and say, yeah, I don't think so. Not gonna. Can a drone just drop down and pull out a CD? No, I don't think so. Radio is here to stay.
Yes, no, and I'm thinking because I had an interview with Miss McCall Hunter right before this, and she said something that's been replaying in my head. She said, radio is theater of the mind. Yes. And the fact that it's not just about the music that you play or what you're reading, or, you know, the stories that you're delivering or that you're telling, but it's about the personality and speaking to people and not at people. And yeah, I don't think a robot could do that. But I am curious because your show at WEA has been on for, more than 35 years now. How do you see yourself, or how would you describe yourself as a personality and as a community voice? Your voice, how has that developed since you've been here?
Well, I've seen a lot of things since I've been here, whether it be in the station or out of the station. I've experienced quite a few things, but being here at WEAA Radio, I've witnessed, like I said, to see an intern start off fresh and then go off like Ashley. She's not the only one, but to just have a love for it and know that maybe that love culminated from watching or hearing me or Mikkel or someone here seasoned at the station that gave them motivation to go on and push forward into big and better things. That is enough to make one know that what I'm doing really counts. It really counts.
How have you seen the station evolve over the years that you've been here?
Boy, from rewinding tapes like in 1988 up until now, oh my goodness, it has definitely made progressive changes, I'll say it that way because it is the truth. And to go from reel to reel and then cassettes, DVDs, and now we can play music, pipe it straight from the computers. We can pull up it's just, it's amazing. Programming. We can program a show. And if one of the on-air personalities has to go out on a vacation or go be with a family member because someone has passed out of state or whatever, they can still have the capability. We have the capabilities here of programming a program and not be here in front of the board, if you will. To me, I'm amazed. It's been going on for a while, a couple of years, but I am totally amazed that we have evolved at WEAA into such a thing happening. And, you know, I've been home at certain times when one of the on-air personalities had to be away. And I turned the radio on, and it's like, no way could I determine if they were actually there in person or if the program had just been set up to run. That to me is totally sort of like a podcast, but I think is much different than an actual podcast. It really is. That's how it has evolved. From reel to reel tapes where you could splice out something that you said wrong and patch it back, to go from the cassettes, from the DVDs, and now we can just play the music straight from a computer.
Yeah. How about the way that you think about, or first, before I ask that, tell me how you prepare for your shows on Sundays.
I prepare for my shows by sitting at the table in my home on Saturday evening, and I have, a list of all of the gospel songs. And during the week, people have said to me, whether it be people I see in the store that know I'm on the radio or at my church, Ernestine, Sunday, do you think between 5:30 and 6 you can play such and such? Because I haven't heard it in a long time. So I always carry I have it in my purse. I have just a little book with paper. I pull it out and okay, what time do you want to hear it? 5:35, the song, and I shout that out to Miss Lil. And all during the week, I'm writing little things down so that when Sunday comes, and you would not believe how touched people are when to us, to some people, it's not a big thing. But to turn the radio on and hear an on-air personality say, this next song is going out to Miss Jenkins. She wanted to hear this. And this is for you, Miss Jenkins. Here's your song. Shirley Caesar. I tried him and I know him. They are so touched. And then to see them later, Ernestine, I heard you dedicate that song to me. Thank you so much. What a feeling. So Saturday night, I'm gathering all my little notes from the week prior, and I'm putting everything together, thinking about songs I want to play. If I play that song, what's a nice compliment song to play right after that? And I get it all together. Little sayings that I'm going to say after a particular song when I open up the mic and come on. So I prepare for at least 2 or 3 hours on Saturday, and I love doing it because it makes me feel good to come in and I have everything mapped out the way I want it to go. And knowing that somebody's going to hear a song that they asked me to play, and they probably say, oh, yeah, those on their personalities, they don't never play. You know, they say they're going to shout you out, and they don't. I don't want to be that person. So I can honestly say 100% sure I am that everyone who has asked me to play a particular song at a particular time, I've always done it. I can't think of a time that I haven't. I just haven't. And I'm known, if you ask me to come MC a program, I have to be definitely ill that I'm not going to be there. I'm a woman of my word, and word of mouth has gone out about Ernestine. If she says she's going to host your program on Sunday at 3:00, you can count 99.99999. She's going to be there unless I get sick or something unforeseen happens. Mm-hmm. And I just love having that attached to me. I do. I love having that attached to my name. Ernestine always shows up. If she says she's going to dedicate a song to you, she does it. It's a good feeling. Not patting myself on the back. It's just going back to what I said. Treat people the way you would want to be treated. If I ask somebody, I really need to hear Yolanda Adams sing that song. Could you play it for me? Because I haven't heard it in a long time. I'm going to be listening to the radio in between 5 and 5:30. Can you play that for me? And to turn the radio on and I hear it. I want to do to others as I would want them to do to me or for me.
Yeah. No, that's amazing to have not only a reputation, but you're a community figure.
People say that. I'm not going to say it, but people say that.
I'll say
people
it.
have said, people have said it, even here at the station. Oh, Ernestine, you're definitely the voice of WEAA. I don't know what that means. I'm not claiming that. I've heard it quite a lot from the staffers here at WEAA, but it's nice to hear whether they telling the truth or not. But it's nice to hear. It's nice to, because people could say something negative about you. So for anybody to say something positive about what you're doing, it makes life fulfilling. It makes life fulfilling.
Yeah.
Because it could be another way.
That is true. How would you describe a typical listener of your show?
Okay, on Sundays I come on 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And my program is called Evening Inspirations. When you get to 5 o'clock on a Sunday, we start at 5 a.m. Gospel on Sunday, 5 a.m. So by the time you get down to me, gospel has been on since 5 a.m. So the other on-air personalities three of them have really, played this and that, this and that. So when I come on at 5, I'm like, okay, the day is winding down. People have been out to eat, most of them. They've been to church. And you have to make sure that your songs are songs of inspiration. The day is winding down. Give some songs that give sincere thoughts, how the Lord will carry you through to the next day. So my listeners, I believe, are those who have done whatever they were going to do the rest of the day, and now it's sort of winding down. We're getting ready to start the work week on a Monday. A song that sort of, enlightens them, but carries them through, winds them down, helps them before they say their prayers at night. Okay, well, I just heard Ernestine say, she just played that song. I just want to thank the Lord for all that he's done, for keeping me all day safe. So I try to pick out songs that my listeners, I believe they want to hear those kind of songs by the time we get down to 5 and 6 and 7 in the evening. So I try to gear myself to that. Upbeat songs are nice, but I know that the earlier on-air personalities, they have already played those songs for all of the day. So, I want to pick out songs and my listeners want to hear, I believe, the bulk of them, songs that wind you down, getting you prepared for the next work week if you're still a worker. Songs that'll carry you through the night.
Yeah. So after over 35 years doing this show, you have a clear understanding of your format, of why people tune in. You have like an intention with how you set up your show. What remains exciting? Like, what keeps you coming in every Sunday still?
Just knowing that maybe someone has not been listening to gospel or WEAA. Someone may have gone to church and given their life to the Lord for the first time, and they want to start listening to gospel. Someone may have told them, I have cards made up with I made myself a microphone and then my picture in my church attire with my hat and everything. And with time I come on the air and the name Evening Inspirations. So there are always going to be times where new listeners are going to be listening. Someone says, hey, you know what? I listen to this young lady. She comes on 5 to 7. You should tune her in. She played, somebody probably told their grandmother, hey, I know a station. I know you don't like the bumpity-bump music all the time now because you're older, but there's a young lady that plays Shirley C's and James Cleveland and all of those songs that you grew up with. So it keeps me motivated. And in that respect, that's one of the aspects of how I'm just motivated every single Sunday. I get a rush when I come. I'm just excited. I really am. Knowing that there's someone new that may be listening, or someone may have had a bad week and they just need a song to, let them know that the Lord is still with you. But he said that we were going to have trials and ups and downs. But just take your burdens and leave them on the altar. Let him handle. Oh, yeah, I do love that song. Yeah, leave them on the altar. I like that. I like a whole lot of my songs, but I'm excited. I don't think this excitement will ever die down. It won't, and I know it won't ever die down because, like I said in the beginning, this is a ministry for me. And ministry, if you're serious about ministry and ministering, it continues until you leave earth. It's not going to die down for me. No. Another saying that I like, the race is not given to the swift, but to the one that can endure until the end. I want to go all the way to the end. I've always wanted to go to the end. And my mom, before she passed, when people in the family would want to get things done and they kept running into roadblocks, she would say, ask Ernestine. She doesn't give up till the fat lady sings. When I was a young girl, I didn't know what that meant, but I know what it means. Even my husband, and he is very smart, but if he can't get something, and only when he can't get something right, he doesn't think that women can do things just off the cuff. But when he gets in a pickle, if Ernestine can't get it done, it's no way it's going to happen. She will get it done because she doesn't give up to the fat. I don't give up. No, just like when I went to see Pastor Naomi, I told you that secretary told me I couldn't have an appointment. I didn't leave. I was determined. But I still can't believe I jumped up in front of Bishop Naomi's face. Please just listen to my cassette.
But it worked.
It worked. It worked.
Yeah. So what do you think is the most important piece of advice that you would share with a young person who is thinking about getting into radio, doesn't know if they should do it, doesn't know if they can or not? What would you tell them?
Well, I would tell them, follow your inner feelings. If you really feel that this is something that you want to do, don't give up until you have at least tried. You have to try. Little kids, before they can walk, they have to get up and try. They fall down, but they still next time they're going to take 3 or 4 steps. They may fall again, but then the next time it might be 5 or 6 different steps. But you have to keep on, persevere. Persevere, that's the key word. Persevere. If you do try and you see that it's there are other options that you can take. But don't ever totally give up. Keep pursuing your dreams. And you'll know if you're pursuing the right one if a door opens up. But you have to persevere. You have to. And that's with anything. You have to persevere.
What do you want your legacy to be at WEAA? And also just kind of in the world of gospel radio?
I want my legacy to be, she cared about others. She cared about others' feelings. She was interested, and not just interested in those in high places, but those in low places. Because she grew up in a low place, and she never forgot where she came from. She'll do a program if it's 6 people that are going to be there, just as well as if it's a program at the Meyerhoff or the Lyric where there's hundreds. I do programs for small churches, and I don't ask for, how much do you charge? Jesus paid it all. I don't want anything. And if you collect the offering from me, I'm giving it back to the church. I want the church to progress. So I will go where there's 3 or 4 the same and give them the same that I'm going to give to where there's hundreds and hundreds of people. Because God has no respect to person. Nobody is high to him. Nobody is low. People think because they have all of these degrees and letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, behind their name, that they are more important than other people. I treat everybody the same because the Lord treats all of us the same. I want my legacy to be, she loved the small, the rich, the educated, the uneducated. She loved whomever she came in contact with and treated them the same as she would want to be treated.
Can you tell me about outside of radio? What does your life look like right now? What consumes your time?
Church consumes my time, and I love it. I'm on the television ministry at Huber, so we have a television program that comes on TV, so I'm the voice for that television program. In church, I welcome the visitors on Sundays. I sing on the choir. I sing in the singing group. I lead testimony service. Many Bible classes. I study the Bible classes too. I have Bible classes that I'm a part of. I'm going to say at least over 75% of my time is church. Well, church is really a building. We are actually the church, but doing things within the church, I'll say that. Yeah, that is better because church is a place. Actually, it's how you feel within your heart because your personal relationship with the Lord, nobody knows about that but you and him. You go to a church building to be with the other saints, like people that think like you. And so most of my time is consumed, and I love doing it, doing things that are ministry-based. We have a ministry that go out on the corners and take a microphone and take daily bread pamphlets, and we buy a whole lot of water from different store bottles of water, and we take those labels off, and we put a label saying the living water. We sit in church and label all the bottles, and then we go out on the corners, bad corners, good corners, wherever, and we meet people walking past and offer them a bottle of water and give them a tract saying you're special. And I love doing that. So that's what most of my time is consumed. But I love doing it. And I roller skate for a hobby. Fast roller skating.
Okay.
Adult roller, and I'm scared. Look, I'm scared the whole time I'm roller skating. One part, because we skate real fast. One part of my brain is like, oh boy, this is a nice song. And the other part is like, you better concentrate, because if you fall, you know how old you are, right? And you're not going to heal real fast like you did when you were a young girl. But I love playing the tambourine. At church, they call me the tambourine lady. I played the tambourine at church, and I had a tambourine since I was like 3 or 4. So, of course, I know how to play. But I just love gospel music. I loved it from a young girl all the way up. And I'm just, I'm so touched and happy, even when I go to programs and I'm not an MC, just listening to gospel it's just my first choice. I'm not going to lie to you. I like Michael Jackson, Beat It, and all of that. I've heard a few of his songs, but my concentration is gospel music, just listening to it. And I just love gospel. I do. So most of my time is consumed at listening to gospel music. In the radio, I listen to XM radio to see if it's a gospel song I want to play for my program on Sunday. So I just spend most of my time consumed with gospel music and being in the church sanctuary, helping out with the food pantry and purchasing Thanksgiving baskets for some of the elderly who don't have children and going to deliver baskets to them, and they're so excited, and just different things like that, and giving to St. Jude. As a matter of fact, my church gives, we paid our mortgage off, so my pastor at Huber Memorial came to the congregation and said, well, we've paid our mortgage off for this brand new church. We paid it off 12 or whatever, however many years earlier. He said, I'm going to ask the congregation, do you all mind if we just pick a nice figure and just send it to St. Jude every month? And most of the people said yes, so we do that, and I contribute to that. I love doing that. It just makes you feel good to give to something that you know is going to help someone else, not just St. Jude, but anything you want to give to a charity or the food pantry. So, a matter of fact, WEAA, we're going to have a food drive here. We had one 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, and I was on with Dr. K, and we were there in the Student Center. And I was unaware that the Student Center here in Morgan, they have food for the students all year round. I didn't know that. I thought we were just there for the week before Thanksgiving. And it was really neat to see how many people came past to say hi to us and brought food and, non-perishable items. So we're getting ready to have that drive here at Morgan. I think it's going to be next week right downstairs where people can come. And I just like things like that. I do. I enjoy it so much.
Beautiful. And what would you say is your proudest accomplishment in life? It doesn't have to be work-related at all, but just in general, so far.
I think my proudest accomplishment, that's a hard question. So many things I'm really proud of. I think my proudest accomplishment up until this point is making a positive impact on people, on others, on those that I come in contact with. Because I can be walking through a store and I could be in the line, which has happened quite a few times. And just out of the clear blue, I'll look back at the person behind me and I'll look and I'll go to the cashier and I'll say, you know what? Ring up that person's groceries too. And I feel so, and they're back, oh, miss, what? I said, miss, I got you. Not a problem. I said, you should always try to do at least one good thing every day. And so my proudest accomplishment is trying to make sure I do at least, at the bare minimum, one good thing a day that I don't have to do. It's a choice. Making somebody feel good with a kind word or listening to somebody that may have a problem, even if I can't solve the problem, but just to be there to listen. And definitely touching people on Sundays with the songs that I play on the radio, the things that I say.
Yeah. And speaking of WEAA again, I want to ask you this question about the HBCU Radio Preservation Project. And as I was explaining earlier, we're building relationships with all of the HBCUs that have public radio stations, and we're working to document and preserve the history and impact that they've had on their students and communities. Part of it is oral histories like this one with people like you. The other part is that we work with archivists that preserve and digitize the shows on those reel-to-reels and cassettes and all the old formats to make sure that there are digital copies that will live forever. Can you just reflect on that, why you think it might be important to preserve not only what's happening now, but what was happening in the past in places like this?
Well, history is always important, no matter what genre you're talking about. I know that in a lot of the classrooms now, back in the day when I was in school, we had a subject called African American history. That's since been taken out of the schools. I don't know how long it's been taken out, but to preserve history so that those parents and people who want their children to know about history, how far, what people did to get to this place, how their freedom was bought on the backs of those from long ago. I think that's important to have it documented so people can expose young people to it. The class is not being taught African American history. However, if it's documented, you can take your young person and you're able to show them in black and white the history, how far we've come. And I think knowing your history makes you deal with what's to come or the present in a different light. It's got to. It's got to. Some it won't, but I don't even like this word really. All. I don't know why it's in the dictionary, but you're never going to impact all of the people or all of the African Americans, but not just the history being there for African Americans, but all people of all colors. There are people that are interested in history, American history. People are interested. So we have a lot of supporters of HBCUs that are not our color per se. So having the archives there is a great thing to make available to all those who are interested in the history. If you throw away the history, if it's not archived or documented, how will, my pastor said something else, how will they know if we don't show them or teach them? How will they know?
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was such a treat to sit down and talk with you. And those are most of the questions that I have, but I always just like to ask if there's anything that we didn't talk about that you think is important to share, either about you personally or about the station.
Well, I think we've covered most of about me. I can't touch on everything, but me. But as far as WEAA is concerned, I really want people to take away the fact that WEAA has a large teaching element involved with those students or community people who want to pursue communications. Just to teach and pay it forward, WEAA has done such a phenomenal job. And to see students go on to bigger and better things after they have gotten their start right here at WEAA within the communications field is such, I have no words for it, but it's such a very, very important part of what WEAA stands for. It is, what more can a HBCU or WEAA do than to pay it forward and see those students go on to bigger and better things? It's a joy. It's a joy.